Okay, pretty quick I centered and opened the hole. A lot of people have a problem with this part here because they could not smooth out the base. So that's why I designed this tool. On this side of the tool, you can use the flat side to compress it. The special design for this is that this part here, rounded little corner here. So if it curls over the center point, it's not going to gouge it into the clay. So that is a design. And when you are using this tool, make sure you hold it very firm. And then from the center, you compressed it and then push this part here to the corner. Grab it firm and push down and then push it to the corner. Let me show you how to do that. You don't need to spin the wheel very fast. You can see that the flow has been using this stick, the compressing stick, to make it very nice, flat, and even. Okay, that is this tool all about that compressing the flow. And you can see that from this point is very. Let me open it a bit wider so you will be able to see it. A little bit low, a little bit wider, and hold it, grab it, and from the corner here, you're gonna hold it at this angle. You don't want to hold like this, right? Slightly the angle so the clay is passing through. And from the corner, from the center, you just hold down your tool and then you push it all the way to the corner. So you will have a sharper corner. You don't end up with having too much clay build up inside the corner. One more time, okay? Hold it, brace it, and then you compress it and move the tool to the corner and just slightly push it a little harder. So I designed this tool with a little angle here so you can push, kind of squeeze it in. So the corner will have less clay, and when you color your clay, usually people having too much clay built up in there, so the piece is too heavy. So that flow has been compressed, the corner has been taken care of it, and then you could color your clay to make it slightly narrower. When you're making your wall narrow, it's easier for you to bring your wall taller. And also, I'm using this finger tip here, hold it on the outside corner and then kind of push in, grab the clay and then push it in. So you don't end up with having too much clay, wasting too much clay in the corner here, and you don't end up with having too much clay inside the corner. Okay, and now I'm ready to raise it up. My initial reason, it's when your piece is not very big, this is my usual raising. Just grabbing the clay from both indentation there and then move the clay and move it up when the clay is small. This piece is around 3 pounds of clay, so it's not that big, so you could do that easily. And make sure it is slippery everywhere and hold there and then stabilize. There you can use a hand, and usually I have my palm here, hold it and connect into the thumb, placing onto the splash pan, and so that this hand is stable. And then hold it around the side and pinch the clay and lift it. Okay, that's how I raise up my wall. I don't when I'm racing, I don't spin the wheel really fast. And again, push the corner in from the outside, push in. In the meantime, make sure it is slippery and remove the slip off your fingertips and brush it inside of the wall. little bit of water. You don't need to have too much water. Usually I don't throw with the sponge because you use sponge and too much water, and the water actually is not sticking onto the wall. So when you use sponge, the water is coming down and then go into your splash pan. Right, and color again. Make sure the rim is slightly smaller and compressed it. So now my thumb is too short to reach from the bottom, but I still want to create the same kind of a pinch and lifting. So I'm using my right thumb to replace it. Okay, right thumb. The fingertip is slightly holding on the side of the wall. So it's like this. Okay, and grab it. And slightly, the outside hand slightly below the inside hand. That way when you move the clay, you are not just squeezing it, you're kind of lifting it. So it's going to be more efficient. Okay, that is how this composition, how the position of the finger that is helping it. Okay. So, and if you could extend it, like my left thumb, I can extend it, and so that the fingertip is very stable. And I'm resting my elbow onto my left, so it's even more stable there. And slightly, the outside hand slightly below, and then push. And compress. And you can see that when you have a good lifting, you can see that the gap. Okay, this is your throwing history, and the gap is evenly distributed. That when you have a very good lifting, always you can see that the thread, okay, that the lines, the throwing history of the lines is distributed evenly. And again, I'm going to coat it on the inside. Bring the remove the slip up my fingertips and just put it inside first. Right, and outside I have a little bit of clay hanging here because when I'm squeezing, there's a little skirt of clay there. And I want to use most of my clay. So this part here, I'm going to move it in. Just use my right fingertip, right, this fingertip, and slightly my left hand is stabilize the cylinder while I'm doing so, and squeeze it. And you see that now the corner of the clay has been moved, and then I can move the clay, move more clay from the base up. And slightly color to make the walls a little bit taller. Color to make it taller. And when you see I am throwing, my wheel is not spinning super fast. Right, and one more time. And you don't need to go all the way to the rim. Usually I would stop right here, maybe an inch or two without pulling it all the way, and then I just change my position by color the rim and compressed it. So my rim has always been compressed. And if you think this part here is slightly thicker, you just go and use the thumb and the fingertip. Just raise it up, pinch it and lift it to make it slightly thinner and compressed. Okay, now that this is the wall pulling, I could have pulled it taller, but I want to expand it, so I'm not going to make it too thin to do that. And now the wall is good, and I usually like to remove my throwing mark on the outside, so I'm bringing the rib And this is my number 3 wooden rib. And hold my rib steady and then push the inner wall onto my rib. And the slip coming up from the rib, if there's no lump, okay, if there's no lump, that is good slip. Don't throw it away. You could put it inside of the wall to lubricate it. Okay, so that is the initial pulling, and then now the surface is smooth. You can start to make the shape. And to make the shape, if you want to make the curving out shape, I have a tool that I call this profile rib. So you can push that against it, and you can get a nice curve. And to use this tool, I'm gonna make sure that surface is slightly slippery. And you can hold the finger, there's finger holes there, and 3 of them, so it's very easy to grab any part of it. And probably it's a little bit hard for you to try to push it right away. So what I would do is slightly push from the inside to make it a little curve, curving out. And the inside hand looks like this. Push that, and then this is touching, and then push and raise it up. Now I slightly have the curve, and I'm going to use that curve and then push that onto the rib. And make sure when you are shaping, you don't want to push out too much at a time. So you want to do this slowly. I have a little tip here. If you wanted to, you could scrape up the clay from the corner. And I designed, there's a little corner here, so you could use that to remove the clay from the corner. Right, so this is the curve. If you want to make the moon jar, you can actually board it out, but this time I'm going to make it into like a teardrop shape. Okay, so I will follow the teardrop shape. Is the base slightly wider, and then narrow that down all the way to the top. I'm adding a little bit of a slip of water. Sometimes I could use a sponge to lubricate it, so I can add water a bit more efficient. And just touch up the spot that I want to work on. And just follow up the curve here. So before I close further, when my hand can still reach inside, go inside and just use the metal rib to slightly smooth out the little bit of texture from the compressing rib. Just go and put my hand inside and slightly using the metal rib to smooth out the surface. In the meantime, I'm still keeping the shape. Right, so this part here is nice and perfect, and then I could work on the top. And I can make it smaller so my neck will be taller. So follow up before I close further. Make sure my shoulder is smooth all the way from the bottom to the neck. So now I make it perfect all the way to 2/3 from the base. And then I could keep on shrinking it. But before I do that, make sure it is slippery just by touch it up with a sponge of water. So using the rib to compress it to continue the curve. Sponge it to touch it up with water, and I'm going to shrink it more. Okay, this time when I'm shrinking, I'm using just like my fingertip. I call it crawl method. So kind of pinch the tip of my fingers, push, and then I kind of raise it up. And I use my right hand to stabilize my thumb. Slightly increase the speed of the wheel when the cylinder is smaller. Okay, and you can see that this part here slightly twist. That's okay. Just get the rib to compress it, and it will become. Remember, when the cylinder is smaller, you want to increase the speed of the wheel. When it's wider, slow down. Right, so with this tool, this is my number 17, the wet trimmer. So you can decide if you want to trim the foot or you don't. Something like this, you have to, when you turn it upside down to trim the foot, you need to put it on the chuck. And if you don't bother to trim the base, you can leave your base slightly thinner, so you don't need to trim it. And actually, I am using this tool to make a nice definition of the foot. I could decide if I want to trim the base or not later. But now I'm just making my foot as nice as it can be. You can see that my splash pan is dry because I don't use a lot of water. And also when I'm spinning the wheel, I don't spin it super fast. Because if you spin the wheel fast, the water is going to fly up your bed and going into your splash pan. So you can see that you don't need to spin super fast to get your job done. Just take your time. I spend at least 2/3 of my time just making the shape right. When I'm lifting, probably 1/3 of the time. And a nice thing for throwing on my bed system is that very easy to pick it up, and also easy to clean too, to clean up. And this kind of shape is teardrop, but again, the top looks like a garlic. So it's a garlic shape teardrop bottle. Right, so I use quite a bit of a tool to do the demonstration and throw it on my bed system, and using my throwing stick, compressing stick to compress the floor, right? And then I used my number 3, the wooden rib number 3, slightly longer than the triangular one. If you have it on your basic kit, slightly longer, and also I make this two part here slightly curved, so when you are moving or you are shaping it, this two corner is not going to drag any lines there. So that's the design for this. And again, 3 finger holes, so you could decide it which hole you want to hold on to it when you're making the shape. You are compressing the cylinder. And of course, you can use the other side to make a bowl, right? If you're making a bowl, use that to compress, you get a nice curve too. So 2 function in 1. And then after I initially push out the curve, I'm using this, I call it the hybrid, the profile rib. Okay, profile rib for making the curve here, outside curve. Hybrid meaning you can do other function, like if you want to make a bowl, use that part to compress the inner part of your bowl. Okay, profile rib. And then the very final, when I'm done, I was using my number 17. If you spin the wheel counterclockwise, use the number 17. This part here, the straight side, you can cut it on the floor to scrape all the excessive clay. And this side here, I slightly sharpen it, but it's not super sharp because I know people are going to remove the clay from the tip. I don't want you to cut your fingers. So, or if you want to, you can avoid cutting your fingers by just using a sponge to remove the clay. And you can hold the tool this way, so you can shave a little bit clay off the side of the corner. And that little curve here is making a slight definition of the foot if you choose not to trim the foot rim. Okay, that is what this tool is all about. I designed a tool for not only for my from my engineering background, but from my 40 plus years of experience, so I know what is a good design of the tool and all the factor I have to consider it. Okay, and like my holding hole, because the finger is going to hold it there, so I make my hole slightly wider, bigger, and then also a little curve there, so it's easier to hold it on the indentation without slipping off your fingertips. Alright, so thanks for watching, and see you next time.